You shall come to know us as After Credits, the Movie Slayers. But until new releases are the norm, you'll be getting more Avatar. And if you want to support us during these strange days of 2020, you can visit us over at patreon.com/WassesCast Productions. For less than the cost of the moon, you can support our show. That's early episodes, bonus content, and exclusive episodes just for you. Don't get lost in a fog on these deals. That's patreon.com/WassesCast Productions. Enjoy the show.
We may lack the firm control of earthbending or the calm, smooth voices of waterbending, but we are hot and ready. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to demand firebending lessons right now. I am your host, AJ Waseska, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Metters, and guesting on us again this week is, of course, Chaz Mockimer.
Hello.
Hello.
Bo is currently MIA. He is busy with Taco Tuesday. But if you want to follow us on the various platforms of choice down below, we have Patreon, YouTube, Pippa, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many more. If you want to Google us, you can find us. You can also reach out to us directly at Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and there's that thing people do. I think it's email. Does that sound right, Ryan? Do we have an email?
I can't recall. I think we do. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you tell me what that is?
It's, I believe that email is, Aang, again, Aang is 12 years old. I'm sorry. Nope, sorry. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
If you're trying to excuse Aang for some of the actions he takes in one of these episodes, boy, howdy, I'm not
These
gonna...
are not excuses. This is an explanation. He is 12 years old. He fucked up.
I've got
He
words.
is 12.
I've got words. Well, as Ryan has pointed out, we are talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, as we have been for the past 7 episodes?
Eons.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So be sure to keep up, guys. Be sure to keep up. Today we're doing...
I feel like 2020 has been a decade already, so yeah, it's easy to lose track of time.
Dude.
You're telling me.
Well, for side A of our Avatar, about 2 episodes an episode, we'll be talking about Bato of the Water Tribe, originally airing October 7th of 2005. We jumped a few months on that one. Directed by Giancarlo Volpe, and written... Did I mispronounce that right? I thought I got that right. Giancarlo?
I'm just laughing at the fact that you wrote out the pronunciation in the script.
I did. Fuck you, I did. And written by Ian Wilcox, his only writing credit on anything ever.
Wow.
And animated by DR Movie. I actually have to look up some of these guys, because I'm like, what else did they work on? Is this their last episode? Because I want to kind of let everyone know, hey, this is the last episode this guy worked on, directed, whatever. I looked up Ian Wilcox. This is the only thing he has credit to at all. It was a little shocking, actually.
Interesting. Maybe it was like he was a friend of somebody else and was like, hey, yo, my boy Ian here can write this episode or something. What? Really? It's his only writing credit, huh?
Yep. And I can see reasons why. We'll get to that. The cast includes some new names, including Richard McGonigal as Bato, Jennifer Hale as June, Andre Suglioso, I'm not going to even try again, as Hakoda, and Amy Hill as the superior nun lady person.
The superior nun?
Yes, superior nun. Not the inferior nun, the superior nun.
She is the superior nun. Sorry.
They fight in death battles, and she's always the one that wins.
Oh, yeah, the death battle, yeah.
Ryan, I believe you have some fun facts for us.
Yes. Hello?
Yep. I'm still here.
Alright, well, I'm glad you're still here because I do have some fun facts for you guys. In the scene where June is arm wrestling in the local tavern, the man she's arm wrestling bears a striking resemblance to Ryu from the Street Fighter game series. In the same scene, there is a woman in the background who also looks somewhat like Jin. I
Oh, that
missed
is kind of, yeah, same. I guess I never thought about that.
Cool references. Cool references.
All right. So next up, this is the first episode in which Appa actually engages people in combat using his size and ability to airbend to great effect. I mean, it's only fair because they brought like a giant fucking paralyzing mole to the fight. It's just like, nah.
It's basically a
Appa's got
Pokemon
that.
battle at this point.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
And lastly, Katara's necklace, which she lost in the episode Imprisoned, which we don't like to talk about, is recovered by Aang during his battle with Zuko and is returned to her. However, when Batu says the sisters craft perfume and ointments, Katara is seen wearing her mother's necklace, even though at that point, Zuko still has it. So, a slight error in the animation.
Mm-hmm. We're watching a DR movie. We know what you're up to. I guess gotta stop this for you boys. Now I feel bad. There's a Pokemon reference here I should have made and I didn't, and well, now I feel bad. But anyway, I got a quick synopsis here for you. The Gain runs into an old family friend who is fun and helps the siblings reminisce about their life back home. Aang views this as a threat to his only family he has and prevents critical information from reaching them regarding the whereabouts of their actual father, Chief Hakoda. Naturally, this out-of-character line is revealed, and the siblings tell Aang rightfully to fuck off. But Zuko is on the hunt, using some strange woman and her pet monster. They track down Katara and Sokka and Aang and Aang has to rescue them. Oof, I structured that sentence weird. Fight happens, and Uncle Iroh becomes Uncle Lester for a moment, if you get what I'm saying. The Gain escapes, reluctantly forgiving Aang's out-of-character act for just a moment, and threatening all the progress we've made for the first 15 episodes. So yeah, I guess we'll hit that first question if you guys want to real quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened. That did happen.
So tell me, in your honest opinion, does Aang seem to be acting out of character for you in this episode? Why or why not?
Not at all.
Ooh,
I think he
interesting.
is acting well within character, because you got to remember he's 12.
Oh, don't use
Right.
that defense. Don't use that.
No, I'm not, and I'm not using it as a defense,
It's an
or really even
explanation.
an explanation, or even really an explanation. I guess. I mean, yeah, I guess it is an explanation, but like, I don't know, like if you were 12, everybody that you've ever known is dead. I mean, besides Boomy, right? But like everybody else is dead, or old, or whatever. Your entire people were genocide. I mean, literally gone. You were the last of your people that carries on the traditions. Anything. You finally find two people that accept you and call you family and tell you, you know, that they're there for you, you know, that they're there for you and that they're going to be there for you. And then you have any inkling that they're going to abandon you. I mean, as an adult, you're like, okay, I understand that, but as a 12-year-old kid, I mean, I could see where that would come from. You know, I don't think it's necessarily out of character. I think, is it out of, I mean, is it stupid for him to be like that? Absolutely. As an adult looking at it, or as an outsider looking at it, but like, if you were to be a 12-year-old kid in that same situation, I'm sure you would feel the same thing. I mean, like, how many times did you get jealous of anything as a child, you know, like whether it was attention, or, you know, I don't know if you guys have siblings, but a sibling getting more attention, or anybody else anything else getting more attention, you're just like, no, look at me, I want to, you know. I mean, I could feel that, you know, I could understand a little bit of that. So I don't think it's out of character for him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chaz pretty much hit the nail on the head there. It's like this episode feels like you have to have this to round out his character, because again, Aang is doing so much above and beyond what a normal 12-year-old should have to do, that like you risk almost making him too perfect. He has to fuck up sometimes, and I'm not saying that what he did was excusable, but in order to show that he is actually human, that he's not just like a reincarnated Buddha that's already achieved nirvana at 12 years old. Like you have to show that he does have flaws, and he spends a good portion of the beginning of the episode feeling left out because Katara and Sokka are like in their water tribe shit, and that's just something that he can't be a part of because he's not in that part of their lives. He felt like he was going to lose them, and even as that's being rectified and he gets to help them undergo their coming of age trial, and Bato makes a point of like including him in that, it's weighing on him, like the guilt from the wrongness of his action. So it's not just like he's a dick who doesn't know this is wrong. He does it because he feels bad, and then he feels worse because he realizes that what he did was really, really shitty. And that's how you grow. You fuck up, you feel bad, and you learn, and then you be better.
It's like being on the outside of an inside joke.
See, but here,
right? Like,
sorry,
go ahead.
So here's how I've been looking at this one. I do feel it's a little out of character for him, and I get the whole 12-year-old thing, but for me, I'm looking at Aang's actions prior to this and going forward. Mostly the ones prior to this, because obviously you can't judge a person based on what they will do, because they haven't done it yet. But in this scenario, we have Aang lying to people who he cares about over something he did out of selfishness. The issues I see here is, one, we've only really seen Aang lie one other time, and that was another episode that I feel was kind of out of character as well. But that episode's also kind of trash anyway. But in this particular scenario, we're also talking about him lying to people he cares about, and I don't think he would do that to the people he actually cares about, especially because what he's doing is very selfish, and considering the actions he's taken up to now, he typically doesn't act like a selfish person. He typically does put his friends and everyone else ahead of him. And granted, like you said, he is 12. He is allowed to make mistakes. But I think the character flaws we've seen him exhibit prior to this, his pranksterness, his abundant, hyperactive energy, and all those other things, I think those are fine enough. I don't think we need to add this whole liar thing to it. Plus the fact that this just becomes a liar-revealed little story here. Not the most interesting kind of flaw, not the most interesting story you could tell with these given pieces you're working with here.
So what would you have preferred the story do in this instance? If they were looking to expound on Aang's flaws, like what do you see as the better story to accomplish that?
Well, you could arguably have the actual water tribe group that they're looking for, Hakoda and everybody there. Aang does something kind of prankstery in the middle of stuff when they're connecting with their parents to kind of, get attention and just be like, hey, look, I'm still here, guys. I'm still the last airbender. It doesn't go over well with the troops. He feels outcast, and so he kind of recludes himself and thinks he has to leave, and that leads him into Zuko and June, and then Sokka and Katara actually have to go out of their way to save him or something like that. That way you still get the connection. You can still actually introduce the father character and see how important he is to both of those kids. And you can kind of have Aang learn a bit of a lesson without actively going against who he is.
Okay. That would be an interesting alternative to the story.
And that's just something I came up with in 5 seconds. If you gave me more time, I could probably come up with something a little more concrete. Moving on, for other characters in here, this was sort of a joke question, but I'm curious what you guys think. Does Iroh's creepy perving on June seem a little out of character to you as well? Why or why not?
I love it. Oh, so good. Because Iroh is like so full of like wisdom, but at the same time he's still just a creepy pervy old dude. Like I don't think it's out of character at all. Like my wife works with old people, She works in a skilled care facility, and she works with a lot of old people. And man, that's really in character. Let me tell you some stuff, man. There's some old dudes there that are like, hey, you ever tell if your husband ever doesn't realize how lucky he is to have you, I'll make sure you feel real at home here, baby girl. My wife's like, you had both your legs cut off. What are you gonna do? Like, you have nothing below the waist at all. Like, you have nothing, and you can't even walk, man. What do you expect? But like, I don't think it's out of character at all. I think again, he's an old dude. He's an old dude who's just trying to get his rocks off a little bit, like not excusing the behavior, because I mean, really, when you look at it, it is a little bit pervy and a little bit, obviously she's not into it, so it's creepy, but knowing the character of Iroh, that he's harmless and that he's not going to actually, try to get anything with her, really, I'll give him a pass.
Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's largely just played for laughs. This one might feel a little out of character, because I mean, like we know that Iroh has a goofy and a mischievous side to him, but it's never been like sexually charged at all. And like, I hesitate to even use the term sexually charged, because it's still a fucking kid show and nothing super untoward happens. But it's the first time that we've seen like sexual interest, like physical interest out of Iroh. And while it is understandable, it does come a little bit out of left field.
Yeah, I would say.
So, like, I think I took.
Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I think I accepted the change of pace out of Aang's character more than I did out of Iroh's, because Iroh felt a little more grounded and established, whereas Aang, who's all of 12 years old, is still figuring out who the fuck he's going to be as a person.
I think my only issue with Iroh's is just it feels very tropey. It feels very much like
it's
Master
very
Roshi.
tropey.
So, and I feel like Iroh is a character who, outside of this particular instance, feels like he isn't quite fully like tropey throughout the rest of the series. So this just seemed weird to me. Not bad, just weird. So
yeah, it's played for laughs, and it's a little odd, because it's a little it's off brand for Iroh's established like brand of comedy thus far. So it's still like looking to be like the comic relief, but it's just it's weird. Like you said, it's weird.
Yeah. Do you guys like that Shirashu? The big ton monster thing?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, and it's definitely a character. It's definitely something that I would like to see in a future episode, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't think we'll ever see this thing again.
No, never again.
For like 30 seconds, are you sure?
Probably not, no. We gotta move on. There's no time for it. There's no time.
But I also loved the design of it, because it was really, really interesting and very strong, like both physically and just from a utility perspective. But it also gives Appa some skin in the game, an excuse to get Appa to throw some hands. So I like that. Like, if for nothing else, I liked it because Appa got to scrap for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Dude, Appa got to beat some cheeks. My boy came out and just started slapping hoes around, and that's all I cared about.
It's better.
That was the whole point of this episode for me.
It's better when he does it like this than when he just tosses Ty Lee and May aside later episodes, because like that's just so like, oh, okay, you now got these two little girls, it's fine.
Yeah.
You're like, you can't chi block this, bitch, and then just a big ass tail just blows her a kilometer away.
Like, I can't imagine how you would chi block a sky bison, since the chi points are probably vastly different from where they are in a human. So,
and under a mountain of fur and muscle
yeah, no, she's fucked.
and blubber, it's just like there's no way. You lose. You lose. It's okay.
It'd be kind of cool though, like to see.
Absolutely. Speaking of non,
like that actually would have been really, really cool seeing Ty Lee actually incapacitate Appa so that they couldn't escape. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, all I'm saying.
Well, speaking of non-benders, this is our first look at the warriors and leaders of the Water Tribe. Any thoughts on them? And does it seem weird to you that non-benders are the leaders of these kind of are the leaders of stuff like the Southern Water Tribe or even the Earth King?
It doesn't seem weird to me because while it's not explicitly stated, it's like the feeling that I get is that normal people outnumber benders. So having the leader of the leaders of society at large be people that have more in common with the majority of rather than the few blessed other people that can command the elements at their will makes more sense for me, and that's something that will be expounded upon, of course, in Korra. But for right now, it just makes sense. Saying that there are important people and skilled people and powerful people in the world that aren't benders, and having them hold prominent places in society and be able to keep up with the powerful benders is really important representation as well.
Like Jet.
Yeah, like Jet.
Like Jet. Okay. Were Sokka and Katara right to leave Aang, and should they have continued with their father? Why or why not?
Chaz, what you got on this?
So yes, because again, they're kids, right? Like in the same way that Aang is a child, so are Sokka and Katara. I mean, they are.
Sokka's a little older, but he's still a teenager basically.
I mean, because Sokka's what? Because Sokka and Zuko are 16.
I think Zuko's 16, Sokka's probably 14 or 15, and Katara's 13 maybe. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the breakdown.
I thought Zuko and Sokka were the same age, 16 or 15. Katara was 14, and then Aang was 12.
Well, you know what? I'm looking it up now. Just so
that's what that was my thought.
But in any case, y'all remember high school drama? Could you imagine if instead of it being Michelle said, some catty bullcrap that doesn't actually matter, and that's still pissing you off? Not that ever happened to me because no one talked to me, or they just, pushed me into a locker and beat me up. But not that ever happened. I was never involved in that stuff. But the amount of times that something small would lead you to being well, I'm not your friend anymore. I don't want to talk to you. I remember I had two of my friends got into a fight because one of them beat the other one in Call of Duty. And then they still don't, they never talk to each other again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but little stuff like that, if you catch each other right. But let alone your dad that, between, they never said it, but you got to think they thought their dad was dead. I mean, it had been since they were children that they had seen their dad last. You see the scene where they're all going off to war and Sokka's young. He's probably 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's 6 years, 5-6 years that have passed. In all honesty, their dad was most likely dead. And finally they find out there's a chance he might be alive. They find a friend, somebody that they know and that they trust, and that is oh, we know this person is going to be here for us, right? And then he's yeah, your dad's going to tell me where he's at so we can go say what's up. And then he takes that and just gets rid of that information. So they would have never been able to find their dad if he hadn't come clean. So, and mean, something that monumental, absolutely they have every right to be like, boy, and just walk off. Never talk to him again. I think that it shows a lot of maturity. I think that it also shows a lot of where the show is going. I think it is almost like a little bit of a precursor to the group being more forgiving and a little bit more understanding of people's character flaws, going forward.
Hint,
I think
hint.
it's a little bit of foreshadowing of some other characters that will be coming into the shows, a little bit more understanding towards them and their personalities.
And how they burn
forward,
some people.
so.
I mean, not literally, but maybe literally.
Of course, not literally.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe a little bit literally. Maybe. But yeah, so I think they have every right to leave. The show wouldn't have continued if they had. I don't think. I think they needed to stay for the plot. In real life, would they have stayed? I don't know. That would be. It would take a lot of maturity for someone that young to be able to look past that.
Well, I did look it up, and I did confirm. Zuko is 16, Sokka is 15, Katara is 14, and then both Aang and Toph are 12.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, this is definitely a monumental thing that happens, and it's the first real big blow up that they experience as a group, and it's a true test of friendship for something major to happen and then them be able to work past it. So I definitely think it's a good moment of character development for the group at large, as opposed to just singular people. So I think it's a good addition to the story, even if it's super uncomfortable.
I'd say
I think it's good that they did it and they got through it.
I'd say it shows more maturity though for Sokka than anybody else, and that's because he didn't want to go on this journey in the first place. He actually didn't trust Aang at all to start with, and so him being burned by his trust and then deciding to get over it and still join Aang and come back to the fold is pretty big, especially because his relationship with his father means a lot more to him than I think it does to Katara, who's more connected with her mother. So I think Sokka definitely shows the most maturity and growth in the decision being made. Not that Katara doesn't, just that I think Sokka, also being older and having to essentially lead this group the way he does, I think it shows a lot more maturity on his part.
Yeah,
Absolutely, I agree.
Welcome to the Avatar Last Airbender podcast. We talk about Sokka and how great he is.
Man, Sokka
my
is
man
the
does not get enough respect.
Appa needs more fight scenes.
He does.
I need to see Appa throw hands.
We'll hopefully get more of those here soon.
I also really liked the combat in this episode. I don't know, for some reason it just stood out to me, but I thought the combat was very, very well done, particularly in the ending climax scene. I think it was really, really great.
Man, when they're fighting on the well and he's dodging to try to get the necklace, oh, nut. Honestly.
That's good shit, man. That's really good.
Well, speaking of throwing hands, we're going to go jump into Side B, The Deserter. Originally airing October 21st, 2005. Jump in a couple weeks here. Directed by Lauren McMullen and written by Tim Hendrick and animated by JM Animation. The cast has some new faces on there, including Kyon Yun as John, John Kassir as Che, and because I forgot to mention him in the episode where they introduced Avatar Roku, because we didn't write down the voices for that episode in Winter Solstice, James Garrett returns as Avatar Roku.
James Garrett.
Yep. Fun fact, I think he played Alfred in one of the animated movies, so there you go.
Damn, nice.
Yeah, not a fun fact you have, just one I remember when I was researching who the guy was.
Well, you're
Fair
just
enough.
stepping all over my segment. Okay,
I know. Well, this is a segue into your segment, though.
All right. Well, give me one quick second here. This is the only episode for the first one. This is actually the only episode where Zhao appears, but Zuko does not.
Not including Legends of Korra, I assume.
Right, not including the Legends of Korra. But of course, this is also pretty interesting because we actually get a little bit of character development and backstory on Zhao as a character by himself, rather than just as a foil for Zuko. So it's really good to see that. Cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, next up, this is chronologically the second known instance in which an avatar has broken the order in which they learn the elements. The first was when Avatar Kyoshi began learning waterbending before airbending, which would have been the next element in the cycle. Yeah, I find that interesting because it's like what you call it. Airbending would be like the one that she had the most trouble with, being an earthbender. So and Kyoshi is known for being so like hard-nosed and just like get shit done that it's very interesting to think of her skipping it because it was too hard.
I do find it interesting the three avatars we're most familiar with prior to Korra, Roku and Kyoshi. Their element struggles were with the opposite element of theirs, but then when it comes to Korra, it's not so much the opposite element, but just the opposite personality type, which I think also plays a huge factor in some of this stuff too.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. Yeah. Right. Well, my final fun fact: this is the first episode where where Aang firebends. He keeps true to his promise to abstain from firebending until the firebending masters, where he finally becomes comfortable with the art.
A little bit continuity right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got a quick synopsis for you guys if you guys are interested.
Yes.
Here we go. The gang finds a secret group of Fire Nation insurrectionists led by ex-military leader Jean Jean. They ask him to teach Aang firebending. When he says no, Ghost Roku appears and he don't ask. So Jean Jean teaches Aang how to throw dem spicy meatballs. But Aang can't handle the spice and ends up burning Katara as a result. Aang promises never to firebend again, unaware that's kind of part of his job. Katara takes a leveling cleric, and Starburns appears to fight the insurrectionists and get a bonus avatar prize. But Aang tricks Starburns into blowing up his own ships while Jean Jean and the rest escape. Starburns is noticeably upset.
I'll never get over Starburns.
It's the best name for him. I don't want to use Zhao because I just like Starburns better.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess first question here, since Jean Jean's kind of the focus of the episode, would y'all have wanted to see Aang continue learning from Jean Jean? And why do you think this would or would not have worked?
I think it wouldn't have worked solely because Aang wasn't in the proper place to learn firebending just yet. I mean, like, yeah, like, Zhang Zhang absolutely is a very skilled master, of course, 100%. But Aang wasn't particularly ready to listen and absorb the wisdom that he had. And, of course, because of spoilers, the person who ends up being Aang's teacher has more of a connection to him because he also knows the dangers of fire when left unchecked and run amok and not in control. So that episode in book 3 where that tie is made, it's actually one of my favorite pieces of storytelling in all of book 3, which is arguably the strongest. Just that connection to for the two characters makes the story so much better, and it starts here. It starts with Aang fucking up.
I really like this episode because, like you said, Ryan, I 100% agree with you because I don't want to spoil really anything, but honestly, the series is from 2005, so if you haven't seen it, it's not my fault. But the lessons that Aang learns later in the show from the firebending masters, that episode, is literally what Zhang Zhang was trying to teach him, but even Zhang Zhang didn't understand, right? Even he didn't understand. But then Iroh is teaching Zuko the same thing, except it's the full picture, because again, we learn a lot in the Firebending Masters episode. But yeah, he's not receiving what he needs to do, because with air and water, you don't really have to control it, because without you doing anything, the air is just gonna without you. And he explains this and everything, and about controlling and about learning and everything, and just nothing. He just doesn't listen at all. So I think, and I really do agree that I think learning the elements the way that he did, or the way that you're supposed to, makes sense, because there's a reason you're supposed to learn them in that order, right?
I don't know if they've ever elaborated on why the reason is the way it is, but I think for the most part it works, and I'm not going to argue against it too much. But I would like to add that I think I may have worded the question wrong, but I think if Aang had not continued to learn from John John, but had picked it up with John John later, after he'd gone through waterbending and earthbending and realized all the lessons that he needed to learn, I think he would have been better equipped to handle Jean Jean's teachings in Book 3 or some point. But yes, continuing straight forward from this to more firebending would not have worked. Just given Aang's personality, and I think the real lesson to learn from this episode is not so much that people are incapable of learning, but that everyone has a specific teaching method that they are best with, and I don't think Jean Jean's teaching method at this point would have worked for Aang. It might have worked, like I said, in Book 3, but I think that's because Aang was desperate and willing to listen at that point.
I don't think that teaching method would have ever worked with Aang. Not really. Because, if you look at, like, Katara, and if you look at Toph when she teaches him earthbending, spoilers, and when you look at the individual that teaches him firebending, they don't treat him like he's fragile. They treat him like he's going to learn this, and he has to learn this. Whereas Zhang Zhang was like, yo, you gonna sit there and you gonna make the leaf not burn, right? So I really do think that the teaching style, like you said, Aaron, I absolutely agree. I don't think, even in Book 3, I don't think he would have been as receiving of it, and he wouldn't have been able to learn as well as he did from his actual teacher.
Well, I think what Zhang Zhang was trying to get through to him, like at the very beginning, was the importance of control,
which Aang learns.
But it was something, right? Aang has to learn it the hard way. It's like when you're little and your parents say, "Don't touch the oven; it's hot," but you can't see, like, visually that the oven is hot, and so you're like, "It doesn't look hot. I don't think it's hot," and then you end up touching it and burning the shit out of your hand. And there's some things in life that, this is just for everybody, there's some things in life that you can't learn until you go through it. And so Zhang Zhang was trying to teach him the safe way and the slow and steady way, that control is so paramount to this art, because if you fuck with your control, everything around you will burn. But he had to learn it the hard way. I don't think it's necessarily an issue with Zhang Zhang's teaching style, but just it's just Aang as a personality, Aang as a person needed to learn it that way, unfortunately.
And I'm not saying,
like, he wasn't gonna get the importance of it aside from that, I don't think. Also because he's 12 years old, and
I wasn't implying that Jean Jean's teaching style is bad, just that it's not a good match for what Aang's teaching or learning method is. That's
right. No. I completely understand where you're coming from. Yep. It's just that I think, like, if he came to Zhang Zhang in Book 3, I think he would have learned from him just fine, because he would have understood the need for control, and he would have had the patience developed after working on the other styles, and realizing not all bending styles are going to come to him as easily as airbending, as easily as waterbending. He had to bust his ass to learn earthbending, And so becoming like really settling down and mastering the control aspect and the patience of it would have worked in book 3. So I don't think it's that Zhang Zhang wasn't a good fit for him. I just think it was that Aang wasn't ready for it. That's all.
And keep in mind too, Aang is trying to cram all these different elements in like a summer. So
Yep.
A year.
Yep. So
a 12-year-old has to master 3 elemental techniques before fighting a dude that wants to burn the planet. Go.
I mean, it only took him 12 years to master airbending. I mean, shouldn't be that hard. So, were you surprised when John was able to see and interact with Avatar Roku's spirit? Why or why not?
I was very surprised. I was very, very surprised.
I'm gonna go with no.
Okay.
Because Zhang Zhang is a very spiritual dude. Like, you could tell he's sitting there meditating. And he is very, like, I don't want to say inner peace kind of guy, but almost like
Yeah, his inner peace
Master
is all over the
Shifu
place.
from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just sitting there meditating. So it's not surprising to me that he would be able to briefly connect with that if Roku were to come up and be like, boy, I ain't asking. We're going to do what needs to be done. You know, like, it wouldn't surprise me, or it didn't surprise me, that fact at all. It was awesome. If you mean by like surprising, like, did I expect it? Absolutely not. But was it? And it was dope when it happened. But am I like, I can see why he was able to see Roku and communicate with him and stuff like that, when not really anybody else did, except during the winter or the summer solstice or whatever.
With Iroh and the dragon,
Whatever it was, the winter solstice or whatever. Yeah.
I'm not mad at. I wasn't surprised by the fact that Zhang Zhang could interact with Roku. I was more surprised by the fact that Roku deemed it necessary to come out and punk Zhang Zhang into teaching him. Especially because if anybody should know the importance of control and whether or not Aang had his head on straight regarding the practice of firebending, it should have been, I don't know, the last master firebender that was the Avatar. So I think it was surprising that Roku wasn't the one to nip this shit in the bud and say, hey, Aang, seriously, like, fucking listen, this shit's very important, and what he's saying to you is very wise.
Actually,
you need to pay attention.
Actually, I don't think Roku's weighing in is that surprising. I mean, it is in the fact that he's weighing in on these matters so regularly, but or seemingly regularly. But him trying to defend Aang and trying to rush this whole let's get to the firebending now isn't too surprising. I get your idea that he should be opting for more control and more precise stuff, but considering that the war started as one of Roku's biggest failings, I think he's just very focused on we need to make up for the shit I did. So Aang, let's pick up the pace and get this going here. You had 100 years and you fucked it up, so let's get going.
That's
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that rationale.
Did Katara's new healing powers seemingly come out of nowhere for you guys, or do you think their appearance works for this episode?
Well, I mean, she had studied with some of the healers at the. Oh, nope. Actually, I just remembered what book we're in. I just remembered what book we're in. And I was like, dude, she's been trained by healers. What do you mean? No. Okay, yeah, that was a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina, but.
I think when else would you have put this skill into the show?
I guess no one else has really been hurt to this point yet.
She's forced to study with the healers.
You know, I think bringing it up before they go to the northern or to the North Pole I think gives you kind of like a prelude to where you're like, wait, what? They can heal, like it just, and it was very little. I felt like they introduced that skill in a very quick way. It was very much like, oh yeah, she can heal now. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't need explanation, I guess. And then boom, she can heal now, and then we go forward from there. I do think it was kind of ham-fisted in there, but I don't really know. I mean, you would have had to have Aang get hurt or her get hurt or something in any case.
I think
for that to happen, for her to be able to discover those powers.
I think it would have been nice if they alluded to it in a previous episode, like that it is a thing that can be done, but not actually show it until this moment. Because then it would have felt like less of an out of nowhere thing and more of just she's learning a skill that actually is part of her people, instead of it just be like, oh, you suddenly have a skill, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the narrative, though, it kind of works because it parallels. It actually goes along with what John says in his whole philosophy. It kind of gives Aang an out for how he hurt her and lets things kind of reset back to status quo, sort of. And it also, as you alluded to for a future episode, kind of helps show that she's actually naturally gifted at what she's capable of doing. And that way, when we actually get to the North Pole and she actually does want to start learning how to fight, it's not like, oh, I don't know how to do anything. It's like, no, I can already do that. I want to fucking beat people up now. So I think there's a lot of positives to this.
Yeah. There are. It just it feels a little Deus Ex Machina-y and just like a way to kind of let Aang off the hook.
Yeah.
But I like you said, there's not a better way to do it. I mean, because he burnt her hands, and she needs those to bend, or at least they need those to bend now. Wait till Korra, when somebody with no arms starts doing that shit. Nevertheless,
you know what would have been cool if they had just said it in the Water School episode, like she says, "Hey, look, there's something here about healing," but they don't ever get to it. And then it pops up here. That would have been actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have
tied the water. But see, Aaron, you got to understand that would have actually tied the waterbending scroll into any other part of the series.
But they already do. They already do, though. The pirates come back in a couple episodes.
Oh, screw the pirates. The pirates don't do anything. Oh my gosh, screw the pirates. But like, you're exactly. If they had that in the waterbending scroll, you're exactly right. It would have felt a lot less ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Not to be an editor for someone else's work.
Like he needs to be writing. He needs to be writing for these guys. He fixed it.
I do. Hey, Brian. Hey, Michael. If you need a writer for your next series, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yes.
Thoughts on Zhao's backstory? Brief little aside here.
That was pretty freaking cool. And it shows. It really does show the mindset of the Fire Nation, or like as it is right now, post-war, with all the propaganda and everything. The Fire Nation's the best. We are the superior element. We're gonna burn the world to ash and recreate it in our image, kind of thing. And it's very much a precursor to meeting the Fire Lord, at least for me.
And a precursor to like Book 3, when we see the Fire Nation, like just regular civilians and shit. Like it gives you an idea of just what they're going through.
Yeah, like he legitimately is so far deluded with the propaganda, similarly to certain countries around the world, that he legitimately thinks that he is superior. And not even really certain countries, certain groups of people in certain countries.
You know who you are.
You know who you are if you're listening. Be better. Be a good person.
The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will as of this date.
Okay. There you go, wise man. The orange orangutan.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry. Moving on. But like, you really do get that vibe that he's just like, I don't care who I have to kill, who I have to hurt, who I have to get to, or who I have to cut down and go through in order to complete the mission that was given to me by the Fire Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Blues Brothers, right? We are on a mission from God. Not that gives you an excuse to kill people.
God told him to do it.
Ah, God damn it! We almost. I felt it coming. I was just like, please don't, please.
Callback.
Yes.
Great callback. Love it.
Callback. I got you. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that it also shows Aang even more like you gotta be careful, otherwise you're gonna lose control. You can be firebending can come from a lot of different places. In Zhang Zhang's case, Zuko's case, Zhao's case, it all comes from anger. Whereas somebody like Iroh, it comes from life. It
Passion.
comes from peace and tea.
Yeah, I counter that. I think I like this, and I like the allusions to Zhao's time in a certain library we'll get to later. I like that we get more of his backstory even as the series goes on in snippets, and I don't know, it makes his character more interesting. I just wish that he himself was a more interesting person.
Yeah.
Final question for this episode. Zhang Zhang seems to be the only bender shown in either series, this or Korra, who openly regrets his gifts and or powers. What do you make of this philosophy, and do you think he has a point?
I think it makes complete sense seeing the society that the Fire Nation is in right now, because and of course spoilers, but it's later on revealed that he is a member of the White Lotus.
Whoa!
But the idea that all around him he sees nothing but the horrible things that fire can be put towards. I think he's very wise, but I also think he's very depressed, and just being constantly surrounded with the evils and the perils of the art that he has been born with is enough to kind of drive anybody kind of off the deep end. So I feel like it's guided, but only because of his surroundings. Like had he met with the firebending masters like Aang and a certain person does later on, like I'm sure even his passion and his love for the craft could have been reignited at that point.
Oh, I get you doing there.
Mm-hmm.
You're funny. Have you guys ever seen Seven Deadly Sins? It's Aaron. I texted you about it.
I have not started reading it yet, but it is on my short list.
On Netflix.
Yeah. So there's a character in the show called Escanor, and he's one of the most powerful people in the whole show. He's he's super cool. He's one of my favorite characters in all of any sort of cinema, comics, animes, anything that I've ever seen. He's just one of my favorite characters. And he views his gift, his power, as a curse because it caused him to be a social outcast. It caused him to hurt all the people he's cared about and that he's loved. It's caused him to he killed his parents on accident. I mean, like, it's dark, like, and so seeing that, allegory, not necessarily an allegory, but like seeing that also in this show, it's very common. I mean, there's people nowadays, like, for example, people with like savant syndrome, people who are these geniuses, they have this amazing intellect, and then they pass away at a very young age because they either take their own life or whatever happens because they get depressed or some undiagnosed mental illnesses, whatever the case may be. So I can definitely understand the fact that he views it as a curse because like you said, Ryan, I mean, he has watched and observed the people he has taught and the troops he commanded and the things he has done. It's almost like like PTSD, right?
Mhm.
Like
I got very
people
Vietnam
who
vibes
fought-
from this guy too.
Yes, people who fought in Vietnam, right? Like they're like, yeah, we were there for our country. We were trying to do the right thing. Looking back on it, were we really political, whatever. Anyway, but they were like, they in United States, the British, even the Vietnam or the Viet Cong soldiers, I mean, killed innocent people. I mean, nowadays we kill innocent people left, right, and center, and that's it. Who cares? It's completely wild to me, that's the case. But then all these people will come back, and you expect them to be fine, even though they just blew up a bus full of kids. Like they are going to view their military service, regardless of any good that they did, however many hundreds or thousands of people they saved from, whether it was taking someone else's life or even just standing guard overnight one night. We don't know. But no matter what they did that was good, they're going to see the things that were bad, and then everything good that happened, all of the gifts that they were given, because training and all that stuff is something that's very valuable in life. All of the things that the gifts, they're going to view as like, this is a curse. My mind is literally gone. I am so depressed, like you said, Aaron. Vietnam vibes. I mean, just PTSD from all of the terrible things that I'm sure they did. Because honestly, you can't genocide an entire people without killing a few kids, So it's terrible. I mean, I absolutely understand that why he is so against his gift, and it is surprising that nobody else in the show is. You get a little bit of it from Zuko at one point when he's really learning the roots of firebending and all. He's like, I can't do it anymore because I'm not angry, right? So when he later on in the series, spoilers, but it's very much, I am surprised that there isn't more of that in the show, because there are definitely some dark stuff that's happened, and I think that the show does a good job of showing us that with Zhang Zhang, and then kind of glazes over the rest of it, because again, it is a kid's show. We don't need to be talking about, like, we don't need this to be burning the souls of children, right?
It is strange it's never came up in Korra, though. But yeah, John John's rejection of his gifts kind of reminds me a lot of X-Men characters almost, and how some of them just do not like their gifts, like Rogue, for example. Great gift, and when she learns to control it, one of the best powers in the entire series. But until she does, it's like this, and like you said, a curse. She can't live with it. It ruins a lot of what she wants to do with her life. And I've like I said, I've seen this before, and there is kind of mentality before, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I kind of respect these characters the most, because it really lets you see the flip side of what their world is like, and something that you just don't see from the majority of the rest of the cast. So I really appreciate what's going on here, and I think everything else, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. With that, we can jump into the review of the episode, unless anyone has anything else they want to add to this one.
No, I think we covered it.
All right. Again, you can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also go to patreon.com/WossessCastProductions to give us a bit of a tip if you guys are interested. And Ryan, if they want to email us, where can they email us at?
They can email us at Aang is 12 goddamn years old. I need y'all to give my boy a break. Sorry. Nope, that's evacstation@gmail.com.
Wait till season 2 when he's a bit more mature. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. He becomes 12 and a half. Oh boy.
So this is where we rank the episodes from Platinum to Bronze and all the colors in between. Where do we want to rank the Bato of the Water Tribe episode?
I'll go first. I'm gonna give it a solid bronze.
Okay.
It's definitely not my favorite episode in the show. It's very meh. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with bronze.
All right, and then
I'm gonna give it. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give it a high bronze. I think the stuff that is dealt with in the episode is important, even if it's uncomfortable. I don't think it was as skillfully executed as it could have been. But I think having the first real inner group turmoil and them being able to be mature enough to forgive and to move past it is important for their cohesion throughout the rest of the show. So I think important stuff happened in it, but it wasn't as well handled as I would have loved it, and it is fairly uncomfortable. But kick-ass fight scenes, and Appa got to scrap. So high bronze.
I'll jump on the bronze train of that episode as well.
Boy.
I would say for me it's probably a low bronze. I'd say the only episode I think this season it does worse is the Great Divide. Not saying that this episode is wholly unwatchable bad. Just it's not as good as pretty much all the other episodes this season, except Great Divide. It's still better than that one. Thanks to it being tied to a plot somehow. For Deserter, what do you guys want to think of that one?
I will give that a high silver. I really like Jong. I really enjoyed the whole thing. I mean, you got to see some really cool firebending, not just fireballs, but he puts off a whole just walls of fire, and he is that old samurai master, right? Where it's honor, follow the code. This is how we do things. Don't ask questions. Listen to what I'm saying, boy. I just really like the character of Zhong, and yeah, I just really like that episode a lot.
All right, Ryan.
I'm also on the high silver page with that one. I feel like these two episodes are the tribulations of Aang, because we have important and needed growth happening as a direct result of Aang fucking up. But again, he's 12, and shit needs to happen that way sometimes. You can't learn everything the smooth and safe way. Sometimes you have to fuck up and then learn from your mistakes. I think this was well handled. Zhong's a great character. We got some interesting backstory on Zhao as well, and Aang was able to learn the lesson and outsmart Zhao while still not being ready to firebend himself. So it puts him on the path so that he'll be where he needs to be when he finally meets his actual teacher. Yeah, high silver.
I'm gonna oust both you boys. I'm going gold on this one.
Oh, buddy.
I also really like Zhang as a character, probably more than I probably should, but I really do appreciate what they're trying to do with him, and I wish we got a little more. Not a lot more, but just a little more. I also like the lessons that Aang takes away from this, and the how it carries with him throughout the rest of the series. I think it's a really interesting take on that. And I like that it starts to build Katara's character up a little bit. I'm a little disappointed that Sokka doesn't get any mention here, or at least not much of a mention. But he kind of gets that a lot in other episodes, and we need to focus on our main character for a bit, so it kind of makes sense. And Zhao, yeah, I appreciate him finally getting some decent backstory and build-up outside of just being a guy Zuko hates. So, yeah, no, this definitely brings a lot of good stuff to the table, and I wouldn't turn it away at all. Good episode. Great episode.
All right.
With that, we will thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week when we talk about, what are the episodes called? The Northern Air Temple and the Waterbending Master. That'll be a fun episode to get to. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
Bye.